First, I'm going to start with a poem that was published in Augur, which is the leading spec-fic literary magazine in Canada. They're fantastic. That poem is called Oracle Bone. If written with a writerly slant, the word tien can be misinterpreted as almost human. Take an old seal, stand it on its head, soft and sweet. Ask yourself, what growth do you discover? Locate its roots. Mongolian, Tenri, sky, heaven, heavenly deity. Tibeto-Burman, Talen, Talian, sky, sky. Chinese, Tian, summit, mountaintop, top of the head. Neda, tin, sky. Cloak it in petrichor. Craft a prayer ritual to harvest it from the sky. Pluck it, prod it, pummel it into a pulp. Forget that you are twine. So this one is now called It's Hornet in a Bell Jar. I wrote it in the years following the death of my matrilineal grandmother. And Amma lived in this place in Taiwan that when you walked in, you could feel the quiet. And it's like, you could feel the quiet, but you could feel the footsteps of all of the people who had been in there before. You could hear the echoes of mahjong games in the parlor that was like down the hall. You could feel like the coolness of the tatami in the children's room where we would pretend to play mahjong while the parents laughed and gambled and played on the other end of the hall. So this is Hornet in a Bell Jar. Our minds are one mausoleum of cherry wood, ivory, and stone, dusk lit by those who came before us. You call them ancestor, while I simply passerby, who fill these halls with their hallowed breath, making my half-hairs bristle, making me marvel at their touch, the origin of their dust, disquieted by what I discover. A big chunk of my work does deal with interventions of history and moving through space as we are in this very colonial landscape. Another part of it actually works with visual art directly. I'm currently working on a collection of ekphrastic poetry, which for those who aren't familiar is poetry about visual art. So I'm going to perform an ekphrastic poem. I chose this specific artist because I think his work kind of speaks to what we're doing now. The poem is inspired by the work of Jan Vo. Born in Vietnam in 1975, Vo currently lives and works in Berlin and Mexico City. His artworks stem from personal relationships, fortuitous encounters, and historical as well as political events. They take their final form as objects that have accrued shifting layers of meaning in the world. So perhaps he will echo in your mind as you're looking around at all of these amazing works. This is called One Whose Name Was Water. Eventually, things diverge. Different. History is mutable, unsettled, always. Meanwhile, life is full of institutions. Conceptually, theoretically, ultimately, socially. Perhaps that's the point. Shifting documents, from institution to institution, remarkable until